Hey guys on YouTube, I'm grabbing mic 1 here. Paige just uploaded a video called favorite music decade, your top 5, 10, 15 albums of your favorite music albums that were released in the decade. This one's a hard one for me because I'm a huge fan of the 60s, 70s, and the 90s. 80s here and there. I kind of like some bands from the 80s, but I'm mainly a fan of those 3 decades. It was hard to narrow down. I love 90s like Nirvana and stuff like that, the grunge music. 70s like Led Zeppelin, Pink, Alice Cooper, hard rock bands like Van Halen, Elton John. It's hard to pick, so I picked the 60s because that's what I've been listening to a lot lately, is the 1960s. And this is what's playing in the background. I just got my Beatles box set. I'll do a review on it soon. Playing Rubber Soul right now. It's not on my list, but I'm playing it because it's 60s themed. Why not? So this was hard. I had to take out groups like The Who, the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys, that hurts because I'm a huge fan of Pet Sounds and Smile. The recordings of Smile, if you've seen those. And the Yardbirds, because I don't have any albums by the Yardbirds. The only Who album I own is Who's Next, but that was 70s. So it was a hard list. So I'm gonna start with number 10, the Rolling Stones. This one was difficult. It was Beggar's Banquet or Let It Bleed. I picked Let It Bleed. Let It Bleed is one of my favorite albums ever. It's a classic Rolling Stones album with written all over it. It's awesome. I love Gimme Shelter, You Can't Always Get What You Want, the acoustic version of Honky Tonk Woman called Country Honk, if you can see that there. I love the title track, Midnight Rambler. Great Stones album. This was the first album about Brian Jones because Brian Jones killed himself after when he left the band. Yeah. I think there are some theories about this that he actually did help make this album because in the movie Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, they played "You Can't Always Get What You Want" for the first time live on that TV special. So there you go. If you want to check it out, look it up on YouTube. It's there. My copy is the London label, very cleaned up shape, blue London label, stereophonic. I don't buy mono, just me. I mean, like, mono's a good format, audio format, but not a big fan of it. But yeah, this is a great Rolling Stones album. It's my favorite one of the 60s. It's hard to pick one because I love their first album, England's Newest Hitmakers, and Beggar's Banquet, Aftermath. So many good albums from the Stones, man. It's hard to pick. So that's number 10. It's the Rolling Stones, just Let It Bleed. Number 9 is the very first prog rock album ever made, and everyone knows it. In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. What is there to say about this iconic album? The fucking artwork. Look at that. This is a fantastic album. I got this for 15 bucks. My label's different. A lot of people have the Atlantic pressings. Mine's some sort of collector's edition. I'm not sure what the heck this is. This could be a British pressing. Not sure though. But yeah. What is there to say about this record? It's fantastic. It's a really good album. It's one of my favorite prog rock records of all time. And it spearheaded the prog rock movement. Bands like Genesis, yes, Pink Floyd, bands like that made music like that, like King Crimson. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which funnily, one of the members from ELP is in this. Who was in this? Greg Lake. Greg Lake from ELP. He was in this band, and then he left to do Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which to me was a better idea because really without him there won't be no ELP, which I'm a huge fan of ELP. But yeah, I love King Crimson. This album, I love the title track. It's up there, man. Well, not title track. Yeah, The Court of the Crimson King. It was a good song, and it's just a great album. It's just hard to pick a favorite track off of this because the whole album is just damn good. If you want to hear the very first prog rock record, pick this up. You can get this for cheap anywhere. I got mine for 15 bucks, man. Such a good album. Alright, number 7. Pretty famous album. The band's not as well known as it used to be, but Iron Butterfly's In-A-Gadda. One of my favorite psychedelic records of all time. Love psychedelic music. That's my favorite of the 60s is psychedelic rock and garage rock, stuff like that. It's just a great album. This whole second side of the album's been taken over by the title track, which was amazing. Mine's an Echo pressing. I think it's a 70s pressing, but this was released in '67. But it's great. Here's the whole second side of the album. Is In-A-Gadda. That's the whole side. I mean, like the first side is also really good. Flowers and Bends, most anything you want. My Mirage, Termination, Are You Happy? The whole album's good. I like the whole album as a whole. It's one of my favorite psych records of all time. My aunt got me into psychedelic rock a long time ago. Yeah, it's a classic. 1968 this was released. 1968, there we go. And there's the band in its glory. They're still around today, but they're not as good as they used to be. I rather just prefer the 60s. Their first couple, I think they only made 3 or 4 albums with the live album. They didn't make many albums. They didn't live on as much as stuff like the Beatles or the Doors or anything like that. So yeah, it's number 7 is Iron Butterfly, In-A-Gadda. Classic psychedelic rock. If you don't have this, go pick it up. I got mine for $1, which was a lucky price because usually I never find this album anywhere, so pick it up. Classic. Number 2. Sorry. 2. Number 7 is Cream. I've never heard of their studio albums, but I do love Cream. I'm a huge Eric Clapton fan, huge fan of Cream. This is the best of Cream, but my copy's different than anybody else's. Mine's a Yugoslavian copy right there. It's the same, it's just a different track listing, unlike the other one. This one's a different track listing. But it's the best of Cream. My copy's different. It's a Yugoslavian one. It's on the Carousel Gold Sire record label. It's purple. Now, I don't even know what the heck this label is. It's just the best of Cream. The whole first side, second side, great. Third, fourth side is okay. It's just live material thrown in. It's okay. I mean, like, not my favorite. I'm a huge Eric Clapton fan. Huge Jack Bruce. I'm a huge fan of all 3 members. Rest in peace, Jack Bruce. You're a great bassist, man. It's a shame we lost you, and we lost you, man. It's a shame because never gonna have a Cream reunion ever again because they were planning on doing another reunion with Cream, and Jack's dead, and we're not gonna have another one. It's a sad thing, really. But yeah, Best of Cream's good. I'm a huge fan. I need to buy Cream studio albums. I need to get the obviously like Fresh Creamed Israeli Gears, White Fire, whatever that one was called. Wheels of Fire, sorry. And final Cream Goodbye, their final album. Best of Cream. This was my aunt's copy. Huge fan of Cream, huge fan of Eric Clapton. Gotta put that in there. It's mandatory. You gotta have Cream in your 60s list. Number 6. Yes, I ranked this over Cream. It's Deep Purple. Shades of Deep Purple. It's not my favorite Deep Purple album. My favorite's in rock, but since this is 60s theme, it's in my top 6. It's a great album. It's one of the best psychedelic rock albums ever. I mean, like, it has Hush, who, like, fans of Deep Purple should know about this. It's their first album. It has Hush, it has I'm So Glad, which is, Cream did the same song as well, and Help, a cover of the Beatles, which isn't as good. And Hey Joe, there's a version of Hey Joe in here, which is a great album. It's just my copy's Canadian, I think. Original Tetragrammaton pressing. This is the first pressing in the U.S. Because this was released in the U.S. before it was released in England. I'm gonna hurry this up here because it's like 10 minutes in. I don't want to go overboard because really, I gotta do the Beatles box set review soon and stuff. I'm trying to get this back, the Deep Purple record back in, but the sleeve's kind of torn up. My dad, this was my dad's, I think. He said it wasn't his, so I'm like, oh, I'll take it. It's Deep Purple, man. Deep Purple, man. Deep Purple piece, dude. I love Shades. It's good. One of my favorite bands ever, Deep Purple. I'm putting them back at the specific spots where, shoot, my rubber sole cover fell down. I'm sorry, guys. That scared the crap out of me. I'm like, ugh. That's great. Number 5. Now we're getting into the good stuff, man. Number 5. I have to put this in number 5. Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? The Jimi Hendrix Experience. Not full. Such a good album, man. This is such a good album. I just have to put it number 5. I think there's great albums better than Are You Experienced. Don't kill me, Jimi Hendrix fans. I'm a fan of Hendrix. I love his work and Experienced. And his solo stuff's pretty good too. But this album I have to place below. It's great. Mine's a 2010 reissue. It's a little different. It's not on any labels. There's the booklet. I'm going to be showing you everything in my records that I'm showing off and what pressings they are. This is a reissue in 2010 reissue. I got this for $10. It's a custom label. Very beautiful. I love Purple Haze. Might be my favorite song off the record. I really like Purple Haze. I love Hey Joe. I love Fire, Foxy Lady. All You Experience is really good. I love that song. It has a great finishing off moment in that song. That's a good song. Ooh! Don't mess up your Beatles album, right? Yeah, Jimi Hendrix Experience is number 5. Jimi Hendrix, Peace, man. Oh, there's also no Janis Joplin. I never listen to any of Janis Joplin's work, which I know it's shocking, but I'll pick up some Big Brother Holding Company stuff soon. It's just, I gotta save my money. I've been buying records for past weeks. All right, number 4. This is one of the best albums ever. Blue Cheers Vincipus Eruption album, their debut. This is a first U.S. pressing on the Philips label. It's an awesome album. It is badass. This is early heavy metal right here. Early heavy metal, but I think it's more psychedelic. Stoner rock. It's great. Such a good album. I need to get their second album as well. My favorite song is Summertime Blues. Ooh, Summertime Blues, man. There's the first pressing. Label there. Such a classic. I got this for $5. I got this awesome album for $5, man. I love Vincibus Eruption. It's so good, man. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. It's great. Rest in peace, Dick Peterson. It's a shame that he died. I think he died in 2010 or 2009. I'm not really sure when he died, but rest in peace. But yeah, pick this up. It's a great album. One of the best albums ever. Number 3, kind of a tie. It's Pink Floyd. I only have the CDs, but Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucerful of Secrets. I used to hate this album. I used to hate Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I love Syd Barrett. He's great, but I didn't like the album at first because it was unbalanced and too noisy. And then I listened to Saucerful, and I loved it because David Gilmour's first entry in the band is A Saucerful of Secrets, and it's great. The title track is great, but the live version's better on Pompeii. Watch the Pompeii live video of the title track of Saucerful. It's really good. And Set the Controls for Heart of the Sun. Jug Band Blues. It's the last song that Syd Barrett sung for Pink Floyd. It's kind of sad. This is the 2011 reissue CD. I can't find the vinyl to either of these two records without spending $1,000, especially for Saucerful. Jeez. I might have to get like the nice pair record, which I'm gonna do. But yeah, I love the track listings in both of these albums. That's just why they're tied. I just had to put them in there. Especially, I like this album more every time when I listen to it. Every time when I listen to certain tracks in this album, I love it. I love the Syd Barrett era now. I love Astronomy Domain. Lucifer Sam's great. Interstellar Overdrive was a big inspiration to Nightmare in Overdrive that I made. That instrumental that I made on YouTube was influenced by this album and with Interstellar Overdrive, because Syd Barrett put a Zippo lighter on his guitar strings and made a really weird noise, and I did that because of him. Because I'm a huge fan of Pink Floyd, and I'm a huge fan of Syd and Roger Waters era. But yeah, it's such a good album. Wonderful way to start off. Wonderful way to start off the discography, man. This is a 1994 CD. This is an original with the British track listing. I love this album. It's a great psychedelic rock record. It's so good. One of the best. I need to get the vinyls for both of these albums. Maybe someday in the future I'll get the vinyl. So that's why they're at number 3. They're at number 3. And the record just ended. I'm not gonna bother with it right now. Number 2 is none other than none other than the Doors. Jim Morrison, man. This is 60s wise. LA Woman's my favorite Doors album, but that was released in 1970. This is tied up between this and Waiting for the Sun. Strange Days is really good. I love that album. What was the name of the 4th album? Soft Parade was good, but it wasn't one of their strongest albums. And Morrison Hotel's a classic, but these two albums right here are really good. Let me talk about Waiting for the Sun first. This is a first pressing of this. First Electra pressing. I got this for $5. It's pretty beat up, but I got it. Has the Celebration of the Lizard poem. Such a good album. This is a classic psychedelic rock album. Has very controversial material in here, like The Unknown Soldier. Yeah, The Unknown Soldier, man. Such a great song, and Hello, I Love You was poppy. Some of the stuff in here is a little poppy and a little different, but it's such a good psych album. It has some good stuff. Other than Hello, I Love You, which I love that song too. And I love Love Street, Unknown Soldier Man. I love that song. Spanish Caravan's great. 5 to 1 is one of my favorite Doors songs ever. I'm a huge fan of the Doors. I would definitely love to get all their albums on vinyl and CD ASAP. But right now I'm going to be collecting John Lennon vinyl for a while because I got the Beatles box set and I want to get all John Lennon vinyl that I can get. But yeah, lions in the street are roaming, and dogs in the hard rabbit forming, a beast caged in the heart of this heat. In the heart of the city, the body of his monster, riding in the summer ground, he fled the town. Yeah, that's what I read from that awesome poem. And Jim Morrison is a god. And now for the self-titled. I don't have the vinyl. I only have CD. Man, break on through to the other side, man. Soul Kitchen, Crystal Ship, the Alabama Whiskey Song, Light My Fire. The End is one of my favorite Doors songs. It's my favorite song on the whole album is The End. I love this album. Probably my favorite psychedelic rock record. It might be The Doors, because this album is so good. It's just a great album. And number 2 is The Doors, Waiting for the Sun, and the self-titled debut. It's just such a great albums. I couldn't pick one or the other because I'm such a fan of the Doors and I love those albums. Alrighty, that's okay. Now number 1 was really difficult because I'm a huge fan of the Beatles. This was hard. I love Help, A Hard Day's Night. I love those albums. I love Sgt. Pepper. I love Revolver. Love Rubber Soul. But these 2 albums, I just had a personal connection with them, and they're my favorite albums of the 60s. They're both on vinyl because I got the box set. The White Album and Abbey Road. Very obvious picks because a lot of Beatles fans pick these 2 albums or any other album, but I just have a personal I have personal things about these 2 albums, especially the White Album. It was the first Beatles album. First track of a Beatles song I've heard was from the White Album. It's on my first birthday in 1995 was the birthday song. That was my first Beatles song I ever heard. I was 1 year old. I was just turned 1. But yeah, I mean, like, the White Album, Your Blues, birthday song, Back in the USSR, Helter Skelter, Julia. While my guitar gently weeps, Rocky Raccoon, Mother Nature's Son, just a lot of great stuff in here, and the very awkward, weird song Revolution 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. Yeah, that song is annoying as hell, especially playing that dang thing backwards. That gave me nightmares almost, but this album is just great. It's such a great album. If I do my top 5 Beatles albums, this is number 2, by the way. There. Apple. This is a stereo reissue. I like my stereo. I mean, like, I respect mono fans of mono pressings of the Beatles, but I'm more a fan of stereo and the White Album. And now to Abbey Road. Abbey Road was the first Beatles album I heard as a whole, because I always heard the Blue Album, Red Album. I heard those albums all the time because my dad owns them on vinyl and CD. But when the first time I ever heard a Beatles album that I remembered was Come Together on the radio. I remember me and my dad were in the car, we were leaving my aunt's house. Come Together was on the radio, and I loved it. And I love John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I heard Paul McCartney's solo stuff before I heard the Beatles, and I seen John Lennon on Forrest Gump when I used to watch that movie. Even though he wasn't in the movie. It was 1994 at the point, but they used like stock footage of him, and that was the first time I ever heard of John Lennon was in the Forrest Gump. So thanks, Forrest Gump, for introducing me to John Lennon, my hero. But yeah, this album here influenced me a lot. It's a great album. The Beatles and Pink Floyd were my two favorite bands when I was a kid, and Pink Floyd's up in my tops now, but the Beatles are like more of my favorite. I just love the Beatles, man. Again, it's a Apple reissue, but this is my favorite album of the '60s. The White Album and Abbey Road are just great albums. I know, like near the end of my list, there was two tight-end albums. I just couldn't pick either one. They're just so damn good. I love Abbey Road and I love the White Album. I just love these albums. These albums are just darn good, and they're my favorite Beatles albums. Well, Abbey Road's my number 1. This is my number 2, but I just love these. I can't wait to play these pressings. Oh man, that's my top 10. My favorite decade is the '60s. Now it is. I'm a huge fan of the '70s and '90s as well, but if I had to pick, I pick the '60s because I'm a peace freak too, and I'm a punk too. But yeah, I will save that for another time. But those are my top 10 favorite albums of the 1960s. Very hard to pick because the Beach Boys, the Doors, the Beatles, the Who, and the Rolling Stones. It's just hard to pick a top 10 list of the best albums of the 60s. I know I'm missing stuff like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Small Faces, and stuff like that. But this is my personal list. If you want to make your own list, go ahead. I'm doing this because I want to, and it's a video response contest thing. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that. It was a very interesting top 10 list, even though there's some tied up material in there. It's just I couldn't pick either one because they're just so good. Like with the Doors, Pink Floyd, and the Beatles. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Catch you guys later. Next video will be the review of the Beatles stereo vinyl box set. As soon as I listen to all the vinyl first and then upload this, and then I'll get to the review. So, peace.